to tell you I was in Celebration, Florida today to meet my next guest. To give you a few hints, this man has played in front of thousands of people on the world's biggest stage, and he's traveled around the world. Do you know who I'm talking about? Let's try this. On any given day, you can see the man in Universal Studios, at any water park, and I firmly believe he's a lifetime member of the Mickey Mouse Club. Are you getting warmer? How about this? This man can save your life. He's also licensed to sell you a house. We have any idea who I'm talking about? How about one last hint? Whoa! DeMott. This is the DeMott experience. I'm meeting with legend Scotty Too Hottie, and I'm not taking the worm. We're in Celebration. We're going to get a chance to catch up here. And first of all, I find it very amusing that both you and I are having a walk along the side. It's a little different. It's a little different part of the experience.
My career is completely
I got full circle. I'm on the water. Tell me about your favorite moment, your favorite WrestleMania moment, your favorite moment in your career.
Well, you know, somebody asked me that recently, and you think, you know, everybody always thinks like WrestleMania or you know, Monday Night Raw, and you know, it had some awesome stuff happen on TV. And it's fun and laid back, and you can do whatever you want. So really, like, for me, like, and you were involved in this, was in Portland, Maine. It was a tag match. It was me and A-Train, Albert, Tenzai, Hip Hop Hippo, against you and Hurricane, Shane Helms. And you know, and then that's the same building that I was talking about where my dad took me growing up at the Cumberland County Civic Center. And I watched my very first WWF match way back in '83 probably, you know. So here we are in the same building.
Right.
And we did our match, we did our thing that we did every night. But at the end, like, I didn't know all the guys in the locker room, where a lot of the guys in the locker room had all gotten together and said you were going to come out and dance, you know, with me in my hometown with my family.
Right.
So that was really, you know, the coolest for me. You know, it was kind of like, yeah, it was Scotty Too Hottie, but it was also Scott Garland at the same time. You know, this is the way I grew up in my building, and. So yeah, that was it. Man. That was it.
So we're sitting here by the water in Celebration, Florida, and while a lot of people may know a lot of things about Scotty Too Hottie, I think I know a few things they don't know. More importantly,
probably too much.
Yeah, probably, and vice versa. Right. So that's why if I hold the conversation, you can't get me. Right. But I want to talk about the thing we talk about in the DeMott experience is life. What life has done with you, for you, what you're doing with it. And the fascinating part is in the middle of Florida, in the middle of Central Florida, WWE legend.
That's a stretch.
It's highly underrated when it comes to you, and for all the things you've done, and hopefully we talk about your time around the world, because we've traveled around the world a dozen times and met hundreds of people, and we've stood with Muhammad Ali, and we've taken pictures with whatever, but all the famous people, Arnold and everybody else you could run into, and childhood heroes. But now we're both at the age where we have children, and life moves on past sports entertainment for some, and then for some it doesn't.
Yeah.
Some can never let that go, but you're not one of those people. So that's why we're here, and I thought we'd just catch up in Celebration, because that's kind of where you're based out of now. But tell me what you're doing here.
I just in April I just got my real estate license, and then I started with Better Homes and Gardens here in Celebration, and then this was my goal. This is where I wanted to work. You know, as you know, I'm a diehard Disney fan, and Celebration is what Walt Disney's dream, basically. It's what Epcot was was supposed to be originally. Walt's idea of Epcot is celebration, if that makes sense. I'm trying to say it the right way, but you know, it's a quaint little town, perfect little town, and there's no driveways in the front. And
the most interesting part about what you just said was, this was your plan. Right. And I think that's what your fans and people out there of sports entertainment don't understand, that there is an end game. We're not always going to be in the limelight, and for as long, and I say it with a little bit of a grin on my, as long as you've been around, you're a young cat. Right. You're still a kid, and that's what I want people to hear. There's an end game, and you've had a plan from the beginning. Naturally, you went the fun route, and you picked Disney as your end game. But how long? When were you thinking about the end game?
I think it's, as you know, it's scary. You know, I was wrestling from the age of, first time I was ever in a WWF ring was I was 15 years old.
So stop right there, because I've known you a long time, and I know your history. And you're 15 years old, so you started in '89. Right. I started in '88. Right. I'm already 20, 22, 23 years old. You're 15, and you're in it.
Well,
who did you sneak in? Because you had to be a kid at a baseball game looking through the people.
My friends and I, we messed around as long as we could till we got thrown out by Jimmy Miranda, who eventually was the guy who went to the office and Pat Patterson and said, "Hey, you need to take a look at this guy." So it's kind of a pretty funny story. You know, the guy who threw me out of the ring when I was 15 years old is the guy that helped me eventually get a job with WWE. I was 18 when I started actually wrestling. I was
full time.
No, I was 16 when I started wrestling full time. I was 18 the first time I actually wrestled in the WWF ring.
So before you graduated high school?
I was a junior in high school.
And the cool part for wrestling fans of the wrestling business, you were there at the time when Arnold Skolin had the briefcase, and you were getting paid by Arnie Skolin.
Arnold and Chief J. Strongbow,
that's
Tony
huge.
Garea,
See, that's the things. Yeah. That's the things that are important to a guy like me. To to sit around with someone who, quote unquote, you're an old timer, but you're not an old timer. Yeah. But at 15, 16 years old, getting paid by Arnold Skolin, that's what people need to hear. Crazy, so I just want to talk about that for a minute, because it's hard to think that I'm 7 years older than you, when clearly, you look better.
Hey, if I grow this out, mine's a little gray
It'll
too.
Be great too.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So you went 18,
right?
And then you became one of, I think, and I always say, in my opinion, and since it's the Bill DeMott experience,
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. One of the legends in the Attitude Era. Tell me, just because I'm going to talk about Scott.
Right.
But right now we're going to catch everybody up to the Scotty they don't hear about, because you're not, and I'm going to interrupt myself, because you're not an internet guy. You're not, you don't do a lot of podcasts, you don't do a lot of interviews, and we're going to touch on what you do spend time with, and I see them off to the side here, and it's your beautiful children. I want to get to all that, but tell me about the Attitude Era, and as we go forward, I want to know how that affects you now and what you do. That makes sense.
No, absolutely affects me now. I think I've been busier wrestling in the last year to 2 years than I had, probably in the past. Of course, you have that initial year when you leave WWE. You're busy, of course, and then it starts to die off a little bit. And then I think with the combination of the network and the Attitude Era kind of being cool again and a nostalgic thing, and I'm one of the few guys out there
who is available to still actually get in the ring
and can get in the ring.
I was just before we started this, I was just putting together a deal for November. I'm doing Friday in Germany, Saturday in England, and Sunday in Ireland.
3 countries in 3 days, and that's just as of right now. So I'm hoping to add on to that. You could be in Peoria if you're in Paris, and it doesn't make a difference. Right. You don't see anything.
You don't have time to appreciate it.
No.
But you enjoy that now, because you just said you booked yourself, and there was a time when, and for me, when I was done with the in-ring, while I missed the camaraderie and I missed the physicality, your schedule got easier. And it's interesting that you say, in November I booked myself here, and here. You can never get out of it, can you?
I think you can, and I will when this is my line. As soon as I have to start wearing a t-shirt when I wrestle,
know.
As soon as you have to cover up.
Yeah. So as long as I feel like I can still go and I don't disappoint,
Right.
you know, I for sure don't bump all over the place like I used to. But I didn't, you know, I think you get smarter as you get older, and I don't have to, you know.
Yeah, but you built your reputation, you built your fan base.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I'll be 42. I'm definitely a better worker.
You know, coming back out on the Indies and have to perform in front of a smaller crowd, it's a whole different game. And I've just like I've learned, and I'm better than I was then. You know, it's funny. But back to the Attitude Era, like it was. I mean, you were part of that too. It was just. I don't even know if I know how crazy it was now. I watch the network and I watch some of that stuff, and it's like the signs, the pyro, the people on their feet. Everybody that came through the curtain meant something. And
you become a businessman over the years, and that started, I think, when you were in the ring. How much smarter are you now? Because now it catches up to what you're doing right now,
right.
And then how does that pertain to what you did? You know, I want to talk about coaches,
right.
And how we coach our kids and how we coach people we work with and how we just coach ourselves life after.
Right.
What we were known for.
Right.
So take me from the Attitude Era Scotty 2 Hotty to the Scotty 2 Hotty that TMZ did the story on, which I thought was awesome. Suplex the
cool.
duplexes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be all over the place with you because everything's positive about you. And to a lot of people, they go, "Oh yeah, but no, you're that guy." We're going to meet the kids. I'm going to go back to it. We're going to meet the kids, and it's Disney, and it's fun. And
because the Scotty 2 Hotty character is so over the top and so energetic and loud and fun and fast and me, like, I mean, you probably seen that, like my voice is soft, like I'm half deaf in this ear. I don't know if that's the problem, but so I always feel like, I think they're disappointed they're not meeting that same guy, but you know, I don't think so. I think as long as you're genuine with people, it goes a long ways, and that's what I say, whether it's wrestling or real estate. Nobody wants to be sold. This is 2015. Nobody wants to deal with a used car salesman. You know, if you're genuine with people, that goes a long way.
Yeah, you believe that you're the guy that you're playing on TV or in the ring or on camera.
Right.
And that's the fun part about looking back at the network and the things that people come up on YouTube and, hey, remember that? And you go, no, I don't, but wow. So
I was pretty cool once.
And so when we get to talk to the kids, I want to ask them what they think about what they've seen and who you are, because that's the biggest thing. Is my kids are 22, 20, and 6, and my 6-year-old goes, who is that?
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story.
You know, because I look so different from when I was on television, and so I barely ever get recognized now. And you know, these guys are old enough. They were both too little to really be a part of the heyday. You know. So a couple years ago, we were at Busch Gardens. We were on the pirate ship swing. We get in the back row, and there's a seat open beside me, and this little boy slides in. He's probably 10 years old, and he looks at me and he goes, "You look like a wrestler." And I'm like, "Oh, this is cool for the kids." I'm like, "Hey," and I go, "Oh yeah, who?" And he goes, "Shawn Michaels."
And you bumped the kid right out of the seat.
Once we get up high enough, yeah.
I've never been a kid.
Nobody bumps for me.
Well, that's cool. But so, of all the things, your history, you're in real estate.
Yeah.
But before real estate, and you and I talked as you were going through it, you went through the fire department.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you thinking? Because we talked about that, and I'm always going to interrupt you when I think of it, because my mind works like that. I remember you telling me while you were going through it, the physical training you did. Yeah. And as you tell it, I'm going to look at you like this, and you're going to know, because it's probably tougher than what you were doing before.
Yeah.
So
your brother's a firefighter.
Yeah.
I blame David Lee Roth. I can remember hearing that David Lee Roth was EMT or paramedic in New York City, and I thought, that's pretty cool. After all this guy, I mean, he is the rock star of rock stars. You know, when he just said recently, when people say party like a rock star, they're talking about him. you know, and I thought that's cool, and I think that kind of gave me the idea. And you know, I was struggling. What do I do next? What do I do next? You know, 40's coming fast. Oh, you know, I got to do something here. And I ran into a buddy of mine who was a firefighter, and he said, I work 24 on, 48 off. And I thought, oh, that's perfect. You know, I can still take my dates and do that and do the fire thing and ease on into that. So I went through the full fire school, graduated, everything, passed the test, went through EMT, did all that, and I started volunteering, you know, and I found myself, you know, going from being on the road 200 days a year, different city, different gym, different hotel, you know, different restaurants,
Right.
you know, 100 miles an hour, to sitting in a fire station watching Duck Dynasty with a bunch of young 20-year-olds waiting for something bad to happen. And it just didn't.
But you look at life differently, right? I mean,
Oh,
you look
you're
at everything.
I don't know if you're jaded. I don't want to say jaded. I think you're
A
smart.
lot of people
You're-
say jaded,
you're
but I don't think
smarter.
that's the word
You're
smarter.
Yeah. I think you're skeptical of everything.
Skeptical.
Everything that's on the news, you're
Yeah.
skeptical of.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a word.
Yeah.
You know.
They got me.
Yeah.
They're
Ask
trying
my
to-
kids
yeah.
about it. Like, I'm like, oh, you can't believe that. You
Yeah.
know? So.
You look at everything differently.
Yeah. for
So
sure.
now, fast forward, you went through all of that, and that was how much time did you put into that?
That was it was really, fire was 4 months, and that was 5 days a week. Actually, when I graduated there, TMZ picked up on that too.
Right at the Georgia line, you should be like this with a big, you know. But
Hey, that's Shawn Michaels.
and it's the same kid that was on the pirate ship.